Hello, welcome back everyone. Today we'll be exploring introduction to data analysis. But before I go into what data analysis is, let us explore data first. So what is data? So data is raw, unfiltered, unprocessed facts. It's more like something lying around. We have types of data. We have the quantitative data and the qualitative data. Qualitative data is data that is non-numerical. It has to do with characteristics and qualities, and it helps us to understand reasons, opinions, and motivations. So we have two types of qualitative data. We have the nominal data and the ordinal data. Now I'll be telling us what nominal data is and what ordinal data is. So nominal data is more like the type of data that is used for labeling variables that does not have any quantitative value. It is usually for categories of things. Now, an example of nominal data that we have is gender. Now, your gender can either be male or female, and that is a very good example of nominal data. Another example of nominal data we have is your hair color. You are either blonde, maybe have a black hair, different colors of hair. Yes, that's example of nominal data. And the other type of qualitative data we have is ordinal data. Now, ordinal data represents categories that are within a meaningful order, but then the categories are not necessarily equal. And the intervals between each category are not necessarily equal. Now, an example of ordinal data is, for instance, I have a customer survey and I need their responses. So, for my customer survey, I got responses like satisfied, not satisfied, dissatisfied, very dissatisfied. Yet these responses are within a range. So that is an example of ordinal data. And I'll be going to the next type of data we have. We have what is called the quantitative data. And like I said earlier, quantitative data is non-numerical data. So the other type of data we have, which is quantitative data, is the numerical data. And it is data that can be measured or counted. And what is quantitative data used for? Quantitative data is basically used for quantifying problems or performing statistical analysis. And we have two types of quantitative data. We have the discrete data and we have the continuous data. Now, the discrete data is a type of data that consists of distinct and separate values. Yes, it often represents the count of items. For instance, if I want to know the total number of students in a class, that is an example of a discrete data. Or another example is if I want to know the number of cars in a parking lot. Yeah, that's another example of a discrete data. Then we also have the continuous data. Now, continuous data are data that are infinite. Yes, they can take any value within a given range and they can be infinitely divided. Yes, that is an example of a continuous data. And examples we have is height, we have weight, we have temperature, we have time. Yes, they can take any value as long as they are within a given range. Now, we also have forms of data. Yes, we have structured data and we have unstructured data. Now, hearing the word structured, what comes to mind is something that is organized and it is well arranged. Yes, so that is what structured data is. Now, structured data is data that is highly organized and it can be easily searched for, it can be easily accessible. It's data that fits neatly into a predefined format. For example, we have rows and columns in spreadsheets and we have tables in relational database. So the examples of structured data, like I mentioned, is data in a database is an example of a structured data. Information are stored in tables in a database. And we also have another example, which is the spreadsheet. Yeah. Information are organized into rows and columns. Yeah, so those are examples of structured data. Now we also have the unstructured data. And unstructured data are data that they lack a predefined format or structure, and it includes a variety of data types that they are often text heavy and they require more complex processing to be able to analyze them. So examples of unstructured data we have is text data. Now, under text data, we have emails, we have documents, we have social media posts, we have customer reviews. Now, these are examples of text data that are unstructured data. Then we also have multimedia data, our images, videos, audios, recording. Yeah, those are examples of unstructured data too. Also, we have web data, is data that you get from websites, blogs, articles, journals. All those are examples of unstructured data. Now, just as we know that oil, when we know oil, like oil needs to be refined to be useful, so also is our data. Like raw data requires processing and analysis to extract its true value, and this is where data analysis comes into place. So what is the data analysis that we are talking about? Data analysis is the process of examining, it is the process of cleaning, transforming and interpreting data to discover useful information and to draw conclusions that support decision making. And that is what data analysis is. So now I'll be going to the types of data analysis that we have. We have four major types of data analysis. Yes. So the first type of data analysis we have is the descriptive analysis. And descriptive analysis is the type of analysis that summarizes past data to understand what happened. Yeah, it answers the question of what happened. And it involves using different statistical methods such as mean, median mode, standard deviation. And I want to give you a case study now. A company might analyze sales data to see which products sold best in the last quarter of the year. Now, the descriptive analysis here is often the first step of data analysis. It gives us a clear overview of the data we want to analyze. The second type of data analysis we have is diagnostic analysis. And now, diagnostic analysis explores the reason beyond past actions. Yes, it answers the question of why did this thing happen. Yes, why did this happen? That is the question that diagnostic analysis answers. So it goes beyond descriptive analysis by it tries to understand the underlying causes of certain events. Now, for instance, if sales drop, diagnostic analysis will look at factors like market trend, changes in customers' behavior, and other things to understand why did this sales drop. Now, I will follow it. So the third type of data analysis we have is predictive analysis. And predictive analysis is analysis that uses historical data to predict future events. Like it tells us, okay, what is likely to happen now. Now, it involves statistical models, and an example is weather forecasting. Yes, it's to tell you, okay, how will the weather look like today and everything like that. So now, predictive analysis helps businesses to anticipate changes and it helps them to plan accordingly. The last type of data analysis we have is prescriptive analysis. And prescriptive analysis tells us what should be done. Now, it is a type of analysis that suggests actions to achieve desired outcome. It combines insights from predictive analysis with optimization to tell us, okay, what should be done. Now, an example is optimal inventory levels or marketing strategies based on predictive insight. So what prescriptive analysis does is that it helps us to guide decision making to achieve the best possible outcome. The importance of data analysis. Now, data analysis helps organizations and individuals to make informed decisions. It helps them to improve performance and efficiency. It helps them to understand their customer behaviors. It helps them to understand trends and patterns. And lastly, it helps them to reduce guesswork. So before I leave, I'm going to give you a case study of how data analysis really works. Now, for instance, a small business owner who sells food noticed a decline in her daily sales. So she reached out to a data analyst, and the data analyst collected data like the daily sales amount, the number of customers, the types of meal that she sells, the time of purchase, the peak hour, that's the time when sales go up, and the weekend versus the weekday sales. Now, after collecting this data, the data analyst analyzed this data and found out that the products that are the best selling meals. For instance, maybe the data analyst found out that rice and chicken are what sells the most, and found out that okay, sales are very high between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. and okay, these particular meals are rarely ordered, or maybe during weekend sales drop. Now, after the data analyst has analyzed everything and has found out this thing, it is from these findings that actions can be taken. Yes, it's going to inform decisions that will improve the sales of this business. So the data analyst can recommend actions like, okay, let's adjust this meal menu to focus on this particular period. Let's introduce special offers for low selling items, or maybe let's extend our hours, our working hours when sales are very high and all. And after doing all this, we can, at the end of the day, the sales and the customer satisfaction increase. When the food business owner employed this action, she noticed that the sales and her customer satisfaction increased. Thank you. See you next time.